The San Francisco 49ers were the first team to punch their ticket to the divisional round of the playoffs with their 41-23 win over the Seattle Seahawks. And that's when the waiting game began. With the New York Giants' upset of the Minnesota Vikings, the 49ers' next opponent wasn't named until Monday night. This is your 49ers playoff preview presented by Webex, and I'm your host, Lindsey Pallares. The stage is now set, and it's a rivalry renewed in the next round. San Francisco will play host to the Dallas Cowboys right here at Levi Stadium for their 9th postseason meeting. The Niners and Cowboys will close out the divisional round slate, kicking off at 3:30 Pacific on Sunday. Before we dive further into this weekend's matchup, let's take a look at some of the sights and sounds of Saturday's wild card win through the eyes of defensive back Jimmy Ward.
Us, bro. It's all about us, bro. Hey, us on two. Us on 1-2. Well, here we go.
Ward was part of a defensive effort that produced 2 takeaways against Seattle and held them to just 6 points in that second half. And so was our special guest today, All-Pro linebacker Fred Warner. Okay, so Fred, since last time you've been on a podcast or a show for us, you've gotten a Pro Bowl selection and an All-Pro nod. So I know you're not one for personal accolades, but what does it mean to you?
No, I mean, it does mean a lot. You know, when I got into the league, it was important to me to gain the respect of my peers, you know, players, coaches, and to kind of get that recognition means obviously that I'm doing something right. And it just makes me even hungrier for more, you know, and like you mentioned, the accolades are great, but the ultimate goal is what we're looking to achieve at the end of this thing, which is that Super Bowl. So we're still working.
All right, so let's look ahead to that playoff game coming up this weekend. You talked a lot about switching your mentality over to a one-game season now that you're in the playoffs. How good is the mindset of the team, and how good are they feeling now that you've got that 1-0 start?
Yeah, we're feeling great, and that's honestly been the mindset all season. Ever since we kind of went on that run, the mindset was always 1-0. You know, and I think you look up and you see that you've won 10 straight, and now more than ever we're in the playoffs and it's win or go home. So even more so now, it's that 1-0 mentality, and the sense of urgency is cranked up, and we're excited about this week. We have a huge challenge with the Cowboys coming into town. We know they're going to come in ready to go and hungry, and you know, obviously we got to come in making sure we're playing our best.
Because you guys played in that opening game of Super Wildcard Weekend, you had to wait till Monday night to actually find out who you were playing. How much scoreboard watching were you doing over the weekend?
Yeah, watching lots of football. Obviously watched that game on Monday, and Cowboys played great. You know, they made it a pretty one-sided game, and have a lot of great players on their side, executed well, and we're going to make sure that we're prepared and ready to go.
Kyle Shanahan said that he was kind of getting a jump on the game planning, at least by watching tape on both the Cowboys and the Bucs. What did you do personally until you actually found out, okay, we're playing the Cowboys?
Yeah, that's maybe more of a coach thing. I personally just focused on my personal development in terms of getting the body right, looking at what I could have done better this past game and improving from that. You know, I'm excited to get back out on the practice field and hone in on my craft. I know the guys are ready to get back out there and just really prepare hard, so we're as ready to go on Sunday as we can be.
You start seeing that Monday night game going in Dallas's favor. What was your reaction to the realization, like, all right, they're coming to our house next week?
Man, excitement, you know, just excited. I know I've been a part of some really special games here at Levi's in the playoffs. I think this is probably going to be the most electric feeling that we've had in the stadium. You know, obviously because of the rivalry from the past, you know, history of playing these guys, and you know, just two really great teams battling it out. So it's gonna be fun.
Like you mentioned, a rivalry that kind of dates back, I think, to the 1970s. This will be the 9th playoff meeting between you two. You guys were the reason that they were eliminated from the playoffs last season in that wild card round. How much of that emotion carries over to this season's meeting?
You know, I'm sure on their end, it's there. It's something that they've talked about, and I'm sure was not a great feeling last year. And Who knows if that's how if they're bringing some of that this time around. I know for us, it's a new year, it's a new team on both sides, and we know that regardless of what happened last year, that's never the case this time around. You got to come out and you got to play a great game. It's never about who the better team is; it's who plays the best in this one game, right? And so we're excited about the opportunity. We'll for sure be ready to go when the time comes.
As many offensive weapons as you guys have, so do the Cowboys. You got Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, you got CeeDee Lamb. They've got their arsenal. What challenges do their balanced attack bring for you guys on the defensive side?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they want to start with the run game. Big, strong offensive linemen and dynamic backs in their backfield to really move the ball downfield and open up the pass game. For Dak and him having his best game on Monday, I'm sure he's going to be coming in confident, wanting to throw the ball. And like you mentioned, they got a lot of playmakers to get the ball in their hands and out in space. So we got to make sure that we're on top of it in all facets of the game.
So you kind of touched upon it. They love to throw the ball as well. It took you guys, about a half to really ramp up. Is a big emphasis this week tightening up that pass coverage?
Yeah, just tightening everything up, honestly, more of a sense of urgency in everything we're doing. It all starts, it's funny because you talk about just the fundamentals of getting lined up and having your feet set on the snap. It starts with just literally that basic of the fundamentals, which then trickles over into how you play, throughout the down. So we're focusing on everything.
All right, so on the other side of the ball, Brock Purdy now making his second career postseason start. Great game for him. What do you think has been the best primer for him, facing that #1 defense the entire year that's really making him ready for this postseason run?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'd love to take all the credit and say it was us, I think he's obviously was well-groomed before he even saw us. I remember watching him in OTAs and when he came into the building and was as poised of a rookie as I've seen. And the confidence and the work ethic from day one has always been the same. And he's continued to just get better, and that's what you want to see out of everybody, and especially, the guy who touches the ball every snap. And he's done a great job, and we're going to continue to need him.
Last time you guys met the Cowboys, it was under slightly different circumstances, obviously, in Texas. This time it's at Levi's. How does that kind of contribute to just the different experience of this playoff run?
Just being at home is a huge advantage, I think. I say it all the time, and I mean it, that the faithful are literally, we call them the faithful for a reason. I mean, they're always there for us. They're the best fan base. They get the loudest, and being on the defensive side, having them behind us on that field is a whole different experience, rather than playing on the road, which we still travel crazy well on the road. But, being at home, it's a huge advantage for us, I think. That's why I feel like the atmosphere of this game is going to be crazy.
How impressed were you with the turnout from last week? Because this was in the elements, rain, wind, and I didn't really see any empty seats at Levi's.
No, it was crazy. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. A little bit of me was hoping that it'd be filled up still, and it was. I mean, through the elements, the rain, all that, they were amazing.
All right, so Fred, let's wrap this up. Just tell the faithful what you need from them this Sunday afternoon.
Faithful, we need you Sunday. Come to Levi's, ready to go, as loud as possible, and let's get this thing rocking, baby. Love you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Fred. We won't take too much of your time,
All
and
right.
have a great practice week.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
As we mentioned, the most recent installment of this historic rivalry between San Francisco and Dallas was last season in the wild card round. This time around, the 49ers have home field advantage and are the higher seed. Head coach Kyle Shanahan spoke Wednesday ahead of the team's first practice of the week, sharing his thoughts on the team's upcoming opponent.
They're a good team. They've been it all year. Probably looked at their best on Monday night, which you expected them to, just with the atmosphere and everything. But they've been good by it for a while, and just watching them this week, it reminds me of their team from last year and only improved. Yeah, Dak's always been a challenge. I mean, Dak is, when you're a pure pocket passer who can make all the throws in there and read the defense real well and get the ball to the right spots and do it accurately, that's why he's had the career he has. And when things do break down, he's got a knack for how to get out of that pocket and make some off-schedule plays. And that's why he's had such a successful career so far.
Joining us for our insider chat on Webex is a member of our Fox broadcast crew, Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin, I was going through the broadcast schedule. You've done at least 3 calls for San Francisco 49ers games, and each time you see this team, it looks a little bit different. In your many years of sports broadcasting, how unique is the season that is unfolding here in Santa Clara?
Well, it's unlike any other, because I don't think there's been a time in history where the team's third quarterback of the year comes in and has made them play better. I mean, it's wild. I mean, I think a couple things, being unique. Obviously, the Brock Purdy story is number one. I mean, what he's been able to do and coming in this situation, which is obviously a tough situation with Jimmy G getting hurt, has been nothing short of incredible. And then I think, for San Francisco to be healthy, you feel like the last couple of years they've just been battling, there's injuries, and there's always key guys out at key times. And you see now, like, when everyone's together, what this team is capable of, it's been something to watch. I mean, it really is. So yeah, we've done them a few times, and I feel like they're getting better and better each time we see them.
Last time you were on the call, we were talking about it was week 14 against Tampa Bay. That was going to be Brock Purdy's first career start. Now he's on to his second postseason start, and he's breaking franchise records, NFL records along the way. What growth have you seen in him?
I just think when your first NFL start, first of all, you're running the scout team this year, right? You're the 7th round draft pick, you're running the scout team. You're not expecting to play. And I know most 49ers fans are not expecting to see him unless things went wrong, which they did. But when your first start in the pros is against Tom Brady, who's making a homecoming, and half the crowd is there, Tom's family, and you go out and play the way you did, that to me, I don't think it could get bigger. So yeah, like the playoffs, it's a different animal, right? And who knows, maybe early in that game last week, it was a little bit of nerves to sail a couple throws. But I just think he's been so poised. I love the Raiders game, and he had to have a little comeback action and close and late. Get a feel for what that was like. Last week, they're down at the half. How would he respond in his first playoff game? I just think his mental toughness has been so impressive. And then the throws, I thought the most impressive throw he made last week was the one that, he scrambled around for like 10 seconds and then hit Ayuk in the back of the end zone. Ayuk couldn't come down with it. He just missed it. But I thought that was an unbelievable play. But overall, Lindsey, I'm just so impressed with how tough he's been. It doesn't look like anything bothers the guy.
Yeah, I was talking to Deebo Samuel after the game, and he said that sometimes the players get a little tired because they've got to keep running around to get open for those off-schedule plays. So really fun to see just the development there. How rare, you kind of touched on it, is it to see a rookie QB have that mental toughness, that poise? He is now managing a Super Bowl caliber offense. Kyle Shanahan's offense is known to be so complicated. Just how impressive of a task is what he's doing?
I really do think there was something to going against the number one defense as a scout team quarterback. And I know, look, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are in that position. They do that all the time. But I think, for what he did there, he was not afraid to make crazy plays and trash talk a little bit. And I think that experience really helped him, because then when you get on the field, how many defenses are you going to face that are better? Now, granted, it's for real. You throw an interception and run a scout team, it doesn't matter. But I think just that feel did help him as he got on the field and started getting things rolling. So, look, Lindsey, bottom line is no rookie quarterback's ever started a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy's trying to become the first, and he's playing great. So if he keeps playing like this, the 49ers will certainly have a chance to do just that.
So, Kevin, we look ahead to Sunday. It's a rivalry renewed. Cowboys 49ers goes back to the 1970s. Really reached the height of the peak of the rivalry in the early 90s. Do you have a favorite memory from what you've seen or from last year's wild card game between these two teams, I should say?
It's two of the best, most iconic franchises in the sport, if not the top two, right? And when you think about that, obviously there are so many iconic moments with, Dwight Clark and the catch. And then you think about 3 straight championship meetings back in the 90s. That was the pinnacle of the rivalry for me. There were so many stars and Hall of Famers in those games. And the last time each team won the Super Bowl, which was back in the 90s, 49ers beat the Cowboys in the championship game. Dallas returned the favor the following year. So I just think that this could be a springboard for both these teams. But I feel the same way, though, as those games in the 90s. Just stars. When you look at the game, stars and potentially future Hall of Famers that are on the field on Sunday, it's just littered with them. So I'm just excited to see it all unfold.
So last year's 2021 NFC Wilds Card game, it all came down to, I believe, 6 points between these two teams. You come back in 2022, the 49ers defense couldn't be playing better, top ranked at the end of the regular season, also got a pretty high-powered offense. Same thing on the Cowboys side. What is going to be the key to winning on Sunday?
Yeah, well, I'm going to look at both defensive lines, right? Because we know that the 49ers defensive line is terrific. They've got the sack leader, obviously, in Bosa, and they've gotten so many contributions all year long. But what they do is they get turnovers at home more than anyone has in the league by far, and they've done that because of their pass rush. But I think for Dallas, when they have had their best games, they have been driven by the same thing. And, the Cowboys have the most pressures in the league. They don't have the most sacks in the league, but they've got the most pressures in the league, and I think that is a big deal, especially with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence and all the guys they throw at you. The other thing that Dallas has done really, really well, they've led the league in turnovers 2 straight years. That hasn't happened since the 70s with the Steelers. They're very good at it. So I really think that whatever offensive line can block a little bit better in these passing situations, that's going to be the difference in the game. Those are the 2 most dominant parts of this game, I think, for each team.
All right, and Kevin, we'll wrap it up. You've been to a lot of NFL stadiums, experienced a lot of NFL fan bases. Where would you rank the Levi's stadium experience? And if you had called a playoff game here, what's that like?
Think about it. I have not called a playoff game here, so I know this will be my first playoff game here. I think the experience, and I've done a decent amount of games up there now. I think the experience has gotten better and better. When it first opened up, from an outsider's perspective, look, it wasn't Candlestick. It just wasn't, right? But I think like what I've seen as, again, an outsider who comes in to call games, I've seen the tailgate experience really grow there, and you can kind of tell people get all ready to go, and they get in and they're fired up. Remember I did a Saturday night game against the Rams a few years ago, and it was as electric as an atmosphere as I can, remember calling anywhere. So I think this has been kind of an up-and-coming experience in Santa Clara, and I'm sure it's going to be raucous with the Cowboys in town on Sunday.
That's what we're hoping for. Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for your time, and we will see you on Sunday. This has been our 49ers playoff preview presented by Webex, and faithful, we better see you at Levi Stadium on Sunday as well.